Here we go. Wednesday edition of the show. All across America on Sports Map Radio. We are worldwide on the Sports Map Radio app. Austin Rodriguez, producer, engineer extraordinaire, working on the show tonight from Houston. Pushing all the buttons. Keeping us going, keeping us on the air. A lot to do over the next 3 hours, as there always is. We will be joined in our first hour by Kurt Helin, who does a great job, our good friend from NBCSports.com. Pro basketball talk at NBCSports.com is his jam, a regular on this program. Kurt Helin will join us coming up in about 29 minutes. Go around the league with him on some items. Philadelphia and Cleveland playing a good one going down to the wire tonight. Keeping tabs on that. The NBA doubleheader going on as we speak. There's a whole bunch of interesting items around the NBA with regard to, this idea that there are certain guys playing themselves out of the league. Talk about that a little bit. Knicks win again tonight. Knicks are starting to get hot. Yeah, Knicks look like they're getting ready to go on a run. Of course, getting hot right before the All-Star break, which is utterly useless. Because then the All-Star break comes and you just got to start over and try and pick up that momentum. 6-4 in their last 10. They've won 3 in a row. Pretty impressive. 33-27. That might be the high water mark for the Knicks this year at 33-27. Now in the 6th spot, by the way, in the Eastern Conference. So New York making some noise. I mean, look, realistically, they can get as high as probably 5, which would get them into that 4-5 matchup, which right now is Cleveland. And who knows? You get hot in the second half, maybe you can get a 4 seed, get home court advantage. I mean, the Knicks have been good. They haven't been very good at home, but game over 500, another win on the road. They're one of the best road teams in the league, which is kind of weird. For a team like New York, you'd think there'd be an advantage to Madison Square Garden. Not necessarily so this season. So anyway, we'll talk some NBA with Kurt Helin. Next hour, about 90 minutes from now, our friend Jason Cole stops by from Outkick.com. All things NFL with him. Obviously, a little bit of a Super Bowl recap, get his thoughts on what took place and what has taken place since then. There is a lot of news around the league, and we will track all of that with him. I want to start in a bit of a different place tonight. In doing my prep work for the show today, as we always do, making sure we are adequately prepared to talk to you guys for 3 hours, I got into this this interesting story about Chris Beard. And, there's these gray areas. And I say this all the time. Most of life is lived in the gray area. Everybody likes to try and make things black and white. Everybody likes to try and say that, something is A or something is B. There is no C. There is no D. It's black and white, and that's it. We live in that sort of world, unfortunately. Where a lot of people think that something is or it isn't. And there is no in between. But then you look at the story of Chris Beard, which has been, I think, chronicled quite a bit. The story took another interesting turn today. The former University of Texas head coach, who was dismissed by the team, after a domestic violence case surfaced, the Travis County District Attorney's Office was investigating this domestic violence case. He was arrested. Third-degree felony assault charge in Austin in December after an altercation between the coach and his fiancée. School suspended him after the arrest. Then he was fired a short time later on January 5th. Well, the Travis County District's Attorney's Office filed a motion on Wednesday to dismiss the charges of domestic violence against Chris Beard. And this is where these types of stories fall into a gray area. Because the school takes action before any evidence is even presented, really. You have one side of the story, you have another side of the story. Sometimes you have horrible pictures, which, again, are a side of the story. But everything has context. And by the way, I'm not saying he didn't do this. I'm not saying any of that. But what happens is Chris Beard gets fired and then charges aren't filed. Now, in this case, it sounds like charges weren't filed because the victim in this case, the alleged victim in this case, said that she never wanted Chris Beard to be arrested or prosecuted. And while it looked like there were, her 911 call intimated that he tried to strangle her and all these different things that allegedly took place, he was charged with assault by strangulation, suffocation / family violence. And a 911 call came in at 1:15 a.m. That's how they found out. The caller reported the disturbance was no longer ongoing and one of the individuals had left the house. The woman there stated she had been assaulted and strangled by Christopher Michael Beard. But then she puts out a statement. As Chris's fiance and biggest supporter, I apologize for the role I played in this unfortunate event. I realized that my frustration when breaking his glasses initiated a physical struggle between Chris and myself. She also said that Beard did not strangle me, and I told that to law enforcement that evening. Chris Beard has stated he was acting in self-defense, and she did not refute it. She then says, I do not believe Chris was trying to intentionally harm me in any way. It was never my intent to have him arrested or prosecuted. But the problem is he was arrested, but not prosecuted. And we've had these struggles for so long in sports because sports is different than everyday life. These things become public. If I'm working at Stop and Shop, all right, that's too local of a reference. Whatever your grocery chain is. If I'm working at Ralph's, if you're on the West Coast, if I'm working at, whatever your local grocery store is, if I just have a regular 9 to 5 and something like this happens to me, my employer isn't going to find out about it and I'm not going to get fired. It's very difficult for that stuff to get out in everyday life. But when you work in the public sphere, especially for a public institution like the University of Texas, and you're a prominent head coach at a major D1 school, these stories are going to come out. But now the problem is he's been fired, contract canceled, he's not getting paid a dime. They got associate head coach Rodney Terry taking over as the interim coach for the rest of the season. So I ask this question, and I ask it with as much sensitivity as I possibly can. Is it fair? Is it fair that this guy lost his job, lost his livelihood, and may never get another coaching job again? Or if he does, he has to go do the D3 or D2 thing and do the whole career rehabilitation thing, the reputation rehabilitation thing, whatever it may be. And I know this is a sensitive subject, and it's kind of cringy to talk about when these sorts of things go on. But I also bring it up because there's something very similar going on in Major League Baseball right now. There's the Trevor Bauer case, which has been adjudicated now. He was not charged, was not prosecuted. Another domestic violence sort of incident. Dodgers released him. Then he gets cut by the team once his suspension is cut in half, basically. Now he's a free agent looking for a team. Again, never prosecuted. And again, not prosecuted doesn't mean you're innocent. It just means they don't have enough to prosecute you. But at the same time, it goes back to what I said at the very beginning of this conversation, and that is life is often in the gray. Not black and white, not yes or no, not guilty or innocent, but somewhere in the middle. You know, it's the old yellow light. We're all living in a yellow light. Was it red? Was it yellow? It might have been one or the other. Can't tell. And now you've got a similar situation playing out with the Chicago White Sox and Mike Clevinger, who they got in the offseason, one of their pitchers, who's in the rotation, is still on the team, even as Major League Baseball is investigating a case involving him, domestic violence in the home, potentially allegedly harming his wife, his child. And here we go all over again. And I don't know if there's any right answers in this. Again, going back to the premise of this whole conversation, it's in the gray. He said, she said, they don't want to say. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Coming back on the Cash In. That's in the podcast, that conversation there. Can you do me a favor and retweet the Sports Map Radio, my tweet for that shows the video for my show? Thank you. "15 minutes past the hour, rolling along on this Wednesday edition of the show. Kurt Helin, pro basketball talk at NBCSports.com, coming up in 15 minutes. Thoughts with him around the league. Oh, look. It's a day ending in Y. The Rockets must be getting their doors blown off. I didn't get to read it, but supposedly Kenny Smith, the TNT analyst and former Houston Rocket great, went off on the situation in Houston. I mean, really laid into the organization. And it doesn't surprise me because I heard him maybe a few weeks back. I heard him on Inside the NBA on TNT saying essentially what I assume to be the same thing in this, column or interview or whatever he lashed out on the internet about. Basically saying, there's just something really wrong with a team being this bad, despite the fact that it actually does have some talent. That it's something that really bothers them, and they're 13-44. They are the worst team in the NBA right now. They don't even have the worst point differential, though, interestingly enough. That actually belongs to San Antonio. But it's a battle for the bottom, with Detroit, San Antonio, and Houston. And look, here's what I would say to Kenny Smith. Anything worth doing is worth doing right. And Houston, if you're going to suck, you better do it all the way and give yourself the best odds at Victor Wembanyama. So to me, if you're not going to be a team that could even compete for a top 12 spot in the West, and let's be honest, even if this team was going all out, are they 13, 14, 15 games better than they are right now? There's no way you could make the argument to me that there was, somewhere between 13 and 15 games that they could have won that would put them in a position right now to be competing out in the West. You can't. You can't make that argument. Now, his argument is different in that he's saying you're creating a culture where losing like this and losing badly like this is acceptable, and it's hard to figure out who your good players are. Because how do you know if a player's good if in a blowout game they score 30? There's no pressure. There's no real flow to the game because you're down big. You're just playing pickup basketball by the time you're, into the fourth quarter. It's hard to teach good habits. It's hard to build good habits if you're an NBA team and you're this bad and you're literally losing like this every night, it feels like. And I understand that point. And at some point, they're going to have to put up or shut up. Otherwise, fans just stop showing up altogether. I don't know what the average attendance is. Let me see NBA league average attendance. Let's see. NBA attendance 2023 is... Let's see, I'll give you that here. The obvious, is at the top. Houston, even in a year... Now, look, fans in the seats, all this stuff, who the hell knows? But the Rockets this year, at home, despite the fact that they are god-awful, are averaging 16,240 fans. They're averaging over 16,000 fans for a team that has won 13 out of 57 games. So, again, not saying what Kenny Smith's saying isn't true, but if fans are still paying the freight and you're 90% occupied, first of all, you're a stupid consumer if you're going to the games. Because there's nothing entertaining about watching your team get massacred on a nightly basis. And yes, I just called some people stupid. You're an uninformed consumer. Because that's what you are at the end of the day as a sports fan. It's an entertainment option like anything else. If I went to a Broadway show, every singer was out of key, people were forgetting their lines, props were falling all over the stage, I got news for you. I'd walk out and I'd never go back. I wouldn't go see the show 6 times. I'd walk out and I'd never come back. If I went to a restaurant and it took 10 minutes for the server to come over and greet me, then it took another 10 minutes just to get our drinks. Then after ordering the appetizers, they come. They don't look very good. The entrees are like a half hour later. I had time to practically digest everything in between the appetizer and the entree. I found somebody's hair in my food. You going back to that restaurant? No, you're not going back to that restaurant. I don't know why it isn't the same thing in sports. I don't know why the sports fan has this blind spot for teams that don't care about whether they're putting out an entertaining product for their fans. I don't know. I don't know why an average of 16,240 fans go to Houston Rocket games. Maybe you want to argue you're going to see some of the opponents. Maybe when LeBron comes in a couple of times a year, you're going to see him. Or Luka comes in, you're going to see them. Maybe that's the argument you could make. I'm frankly shocked. I had no idea they were averaging that many. I thought it would be a little less. They're averaging 16,240 fans for a team that has won 13 out of 57 games this year. The joke's not on the team. The joke's on the fan base that goes. That puts money in the pockets of an ownership group and a team that doesn't care about winning right now and doesn't care to build a winning culture. So what's the motivation? What's the impetus for the team to do anything differently than they're doing right now, which is tanking for Victor Wembanyama? There is none. The NBA is not like the Premier League, where if you're the very worst, you get relegated and basically sent down to the minors as a team. And then a team from the minors can come up and take your spot. Imagine a G League team. Imagine if the team in Ontario took the spot of the Houston Rockets next year. Oh my God. Teams wouldn't tank. I guarantee you there wouldn't be a team that's 13-44 right now if there was relegation. And Adam Silver's brought this up before, but he's never going to do it. He can't do it. There's just no mechanism in place for the NBA to make that sort of change. Maybe they'll figure it out in 10 years and 20 years, and sometime in my lifetime that'll happen. You want to avoid tanking? You have relegation. Otherwise, you get teams that tank. San Antonio is tanking. I will guarantee you. And Greg Popovich even laughed about it at the start of the year during training camp when he was asked about, sort of the prospects for the team. He's like, I wouldn't count on us winning many games. He basically came out and said it. I'm not saying these teams should be 30 or 35 win teams. But Houston's on a pace right now to basically win less than 20 games this year. Which, by the way, there have been teams in the history of the NBA that have been worse than what we're going to see from Houston, San Antonio, and Detroit this year. Other thing to remember if you're these teams is, there's still this thing called the draft lottery. It's a lottery. You get more balls if you suck more, but you're not necessarily guaranteed to get the number one pick if you're Houston. Now, the runner-up prize in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes, which is supposedly going to be Scoot Henderson, isn't a bad runner-up prize, but it's not Victor Wembanyama. There's only one of him. So unless somebody figures out a way to clone the guy, the Rockets could miss out on that despite being this horrendous this year. But again, there's no reason for teams not to take this approach. I mean, the Detroit Pistons are 1 game, 2 games better than the Rockets. The Pistons are averaging 18,445 fans a game. You want to pay the freight? I'll suck all day. If I'm an owner of a team, there's no motivation. You're still getting your money. You're still getting the parking. You're still getting the concessions. Kurt Helin on the other side to talk about this, the NBA, and more on the Cash In at Sports Map Radio. I want that in the pod, too. I thought that was actually one of my better monologues. I'd say so, too. I thought that was strong. And can I tell you something? I didn't even plan that as a topic. I literally pulled that out of whole cloth. Like, I swear to God, I've got a zillion topics written down. That's not even one of them. I just completely did that on the fly. Yeah. Yes. Did it? How do you know? Wow. That's crazy. And they're like, yeah, come back and see us. It's funny. Boom, 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 boom. Good to have you with us tonight on Sports Map Radio and the Sports Map Radio app. After that freestyle monologue I just gave. I gave you 2 monologues for the price of 1 tonight. I don't even charge for it. Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Our good friend of the program stops by tonight. Get into it with him. So I was talking about the fact that there really is no impetus. Kenny Smith is all, pissed off about the fact that the Rockets are this bad and, you can't develop talent, culture of losing, blah, 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 blah. First of all, as he looked around, there have been years where there have been teams even worse than this. I know it's personal to him because he's a former Rockets player and his passion for that organization, and I appreciate all that. But if I'm Rockets ownership, if I'm the Fertittas,
yeah,
and the Fertitti, and I've got 16,240 fans on average coming, and I'm 90% of capacity every night, and fans are still buying the concessions, and they're still paying for the parking, and they're still coming through the turnstiles for whatever reason they are. And I went off on the fans. If you want change in your organization, don't show up. just don't go. And I got news for you. If you don't go, they'll do something different than they're doing right now, which is intentionally sucking to get Victor Wembanyama. I mean, am I wrong?
Look, in the NBA, frankly, in professional sports, it's not just the NBA, although the NBA can be a little more naked about it. Hi, Sam Hinkie, we miss you. You've either got to sell championships or hope. That's it. You're either selling we're good and we can kind of go, we can compete for a title or soon will. Or, look, man, there's hope here. Look at these good young players. In this case, hey, man, Sengun is good. Sengun is just a lot of fun to watch. We've got Martin. We've got these nice young Jalen Green. We've got these nice young players. There's hope for the future. And by the way, we might land Wembanyama or we might land Scoot Henderson. And even if we miss on them, we kind of got a boatload of money and some good young players, and we're going to be better in a couple of years. So I think that's just the nature of the business. And yeah, okay, Kenny, I get it. It's watching losing isn't always fun, especially if you come from that competitive mindset. But it's the business, man. That's just the way the business works at this point.
And again, I'll say it again. If I went to a restaurant and the server was 10 minutes late coming over after I got sat, and the appetizers were cold and took 20 minutes, and then the entrees didn't come for another 30, and I found a hair in it, I'm not going back to that restaurant. But fans, and I don't understand this, I don't understand the fan mentality of, I don't know what's entertaining about watching your team suck to the tune of winning 13 times in 57 games. I don't get it. I don't get the mentality of, we're still going to watch this. There's so many entertainment options today. We know that. Just look at TV ratings dropping across the board because there's such a wide breadth of programming and options to watch and cutting the cord and blah, blah, blah. I don't understand why fans still go. I don't get that mentality. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to say I'm smarter than everybody else, but to me, as a consumer of a product, I don't know why fans are going.
It's the emotional attachment. And look, I personally, and I have not gone to games because I don't live in England, but I'm a Newcastle, I'm a Newcastle United fan. I suffered through some painful years. Just without getting into detail, I will put Mike Ashley up against any non-Sterling / sexual harassment owner of choice. For worst owner in professional sports any day. He was just awful. And I don't know, man. I couldn't give it up. I couldn't, for whatever reason, I couldn't give it up. And I don't live there. I wasn't born into it all, like some. I get it. So there is that part of the attachment, but I think you're spot on about, you want to change behavior? Don't show up. If you don't show up, behavior will change. This is still a business, and these are businessmen running these things. And if they're losing enough money, it will change.
Kurt Helin, our guest, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com, giving us some time on the show tonight. I heard a certain nationally syndicated host today that I used to work with at the Mouse say Russell Westbrook's going to get, is he going to get bought out? But that basically nobody wants him at this point, that he's basically done in the league. Is that what you're hearing?
He is not done in the league, but there is a very limited market for him, and I'm not sure that he's going to like what he sees right now at the deadline. The places he might want to land would require a sign and trade type of situation, because the teams looking at him now. The Bulls might be, what does he want out of things? There are no contenders lining up to add him to the rotation. The Magic desperately need point guard help. The Bulls have needed point guard help all season because, Lonzo Ball's never bounced back from the second knee surgery. So there's some spots he could jump, but there's plenty of speculation that he's looking at these options and going, meh, mid, as the kids might say, and and jump and just think, you know what? I'm happy for the final third of this season to do my John Wall impression and collect checks, and I'll do and I will deal with the rest of it later. That could happen, but I don't think he's done in the league. Like, he will this summer, he will land somewhere. He will get a contract. Maybe not the contract he wants, maybe not the role he wants, but he'll land somewhere. He's not done. He's actually, honestly, especially if he's willing to accept the 6-man role somewhere, not that bad. Like, there are worse options out there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've watched, because I get the Lakers stuff down my throat on all these national broadcasts. I've seen
it's just starting, by the way.
Yes, I know. But I've seen a lot of him this year, and I know he can't shoot the ball to save his life. But he still has value. He still plays hard. And I know that's the bare minimum you should expect from somebody who's making $1 zillion, but I still feel like he actually has some game left. I don't think he's ever going to be, Russell Westbrook of 5 or 6 years ago, but I still feel like he does have some game left. It's interesting to me. Let me ask you something. Same question on Ben Simmons. Where do you go with him being owed as much money as he is? I could sense Jacques Vaughn's frustration talking about it in the post-game presser last night, where he's just basically saying, he basically was up there saying, essentially, I don't know what to do with him at this point.
Yeah, he actually would probably have less value around the league than Russell Westbrook. That is where things are right now. Now, part of that is he's got, I looked up the number the other day, and I'm going to try to remember. I want to say he's owed $78 million guaranteed over the next 2 seasons, which doesn't help the matters. But he's basically playing backup 5 right now. Like, his confidence has fallen so far. It's kind of just stunning, because for all the things we picked on him for back in the earlier Philadelphia days and the flaws in his game, he was an all-world defender who could get to the rim and then dished out and created some plays. And he wasn't, for all the things we picked on him for, he was like a plus. He was a net positive. He just wasn't doing it. There was obvious ways to improve his game, but the things have fallen off so far with him now that it's just stunning. It's just stunning to see where he's at right now. It's just hard to fathom. It's also just hard to fathom him bouncing back from this, isn't it? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he figures it out or gets back to what he was even. But I don't know how right now. But let's put it this way: it is truly the Russell Westbrook situation with the Lakers, where the Nets may want to trade him this summer. We wrote the story too. That hey, we're going to look around for trade options. Great. How many firsts are you attaching? Because you're going to have to get me to take him on.
Kurt Helin, NBCSports.com, pro basketball talk at NBCSports.com. If you're looking for him there, I only have about 30 seconds, but the Knicks are starting to look pretty good. Of course, getting hot right in time for the All-Star break, where they'll then cool off and come back a different team. But all of a sudden, my Knicks are looking pretty good.
You're saying Cam Reddish was the anchor? That was just holding him back.
Josh Hart is a great addition, though. It really is.
Josh Hart, everybody, it's hard not to love Josh Hart. Just plays hard, plays smart. does everything pretty well, could fit in on any team. And if you give him space like the Knicks need to give him, because they just don't have that at high level talent, he's awesome. Like, there are 29 other GMs who are jealous. Like, everybody loves him and wants him on the team.
Yeah. And tonight, 13 points in 24 minutes, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Knicks beat the Hawks. They're 33-27. Certainly could be a top 5 seed. Always appreciate it, Kurt. We'll do it again soon, my friend.
Take care, buddy.
Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com is his jam. Go and check him out. He's got a podcast, too. We're back with more on the Cash In on Sports Map Radio. All right. It's my boy. Miggity, 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 mac. Man out. Man out. Man out. Man out. I. Ba da ba 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 la 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 la. We proceed in this first hour of the show. Another hour right around the corner. What are the Lakers doing here? 38-30 Lakers on top of the Pelicans. 11:01 to go second quarter. LeBron is back on the court. It's a good win for the Knicks tonight. Beat Atlanta on the road. How about Isaiah Hartenstein tonight? 6 points, 11 boards off the bench. Let's go, my Knicks. 28 from Jalen Brunson. Boy, do they miss him in Dallas. Oh, man, do they miss Brunson in Dallas. I mean, look, you go and trade for Kyrie, right? Look at Kyrie's number. And I'm not saying Jalen Brunson is better than Kyrie Irving. Before anybody starts saying, oh my God, Jason Page said. I'm not saying that. But look at Jalen Brunson's numbers next to Kyrie Irving this year. Okay. Brunson's averaging 20. Let's see. Brunson this year is averaging 24 a game on 48.5% shooting. He's almost 42% from three. 35 minutes a night, 6.2 assists, 3.5 rebounds, and basically 1 steal. Okay, so that's the numbers on him. Go to Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is averaging 27.1 a game, 48.6% shooting, basically exactly the same. 37.4% from three, not as good. Less assists per game at 5.3 and a couple more rebounds. And Jalen Brunson's not the headache that Kyrie Irving is. So help me understand this. Two guys, basically identical numbers. Well, Kyrie could break people down off the dribble. Yes, but you also got two guys now that got to figure out how the hell to play together. You had this guy. You had Jalen Brunson. He was in your fold. He was part of your system, part of your organization. And you let him walk out the door. And now you got Kyrie, who's going to demand way more money than Jalen Brunson. And he's going to be 5 times the headache. And he might be a good boy for a year. Might be well behaved for maybe 2. But he could also go off the deep end in 9 months and you're left holding the bag. Again, it's just some teams, some franchises, some organizations succeed in spite of themselves or despite themselves, however you want to say it. It just boggles the mind. I'm not making these numbers up. Go look at Kyrie's numbers. Look at Jalen Brunson's numbers. And you try to figure it out. Doesn't make any sense. Why you traded away all of your good role players, with the exception of Christian Wood, to go and get Kyrie Irving, when you already had a player putting up very similar numbers this year to Kyrie. And he's somebody that will actually distribute the basketball, isn't looking to be the hero, isn't going to say something stupid in a press conference or say that the earth is flat or promote a book with anti-Semitic tropes. You had this guy. And you let him walk out the door. 1-800-224-2004 is the telephone number. 800-224-2004. You want to tweet at the show? Go ahead. Hit me up. You can tell me I'm nuts. At the back page. Again, on Twitter. At the back page. I guess I could have waited until the next hour to go on that rant when our Dallas audience was here, but they wouldn't have heard it anyway. They got a game tonight. And Dallas is getting their doors blown off in Denver, by the way. Fourth quarter about to get underway in Denver. 92-74 Denver on top of Dallas. Is he not playing? Is Kyrie not playing tonight? taking a night off already? Jesus. Frank Ntilikina gets the start. Luka's got 34. Unfortunately, the rest of the team has 40. I don't mean to laugh at anybody's misery. I'm not trying to make Mavericks fans feel bad. It just, I'm not. Listen, I am not what you would call an intelligent man. I mean, look, I barely graduated high school. I'm not. That's not a badge of honor. I mean, I guess in some regards it is, because I've done pretty well for my career for the minimal amount of education you can get and survive these days. But I couldn't be an NBA GM or anything like that. But I can see that the Dallas Mavericks royally screwed this up. The more I sit here and think about it. You let Jalen Brunson walk, and then you trade for Kyrie, or you basically traded all these parts for Jalen Brunson when you already had him. It's just comical. I'm sorry. I can't help but laugh. You know who may not be laughing soon if you read the words of Brett Favre's attorney? It might be Pat McAfee that's not laughing, if you believe what's coming out of the mouth of the attorney for Brett Favre. Eric Hirschman, last week, if you missed it, filed 3 defamation lawsuits on behalf of Favre against Pat McAfee, Shannon Sharpe, and Mississippi State Auditor Shad White. And McAfee actually turned it into into content for his podcast, his show that he does, saying he doesn't have lawyers but looks forward to seeing Brett Favre in court. Well, Eric Hirschman went on Jason Whitlock's show that about 7 people probably watch because it's Jason Whitlock and he's on the Blaze. And most people feel like he's just gone off the deep end altogether. But I digress. Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'd call it hopeless with Jason Whitlock. But Eric Hirschman went on with Whitlock, and take a listen to the shots fired across the bow as it relates to Pat McAfee.
Brett Favre is Bernie Madoff. Your response?
That's an insane comment. Right? I mean, it's obvious when you listen to Pat McAfee, he never read any of the complaints. He didn't read the motion to dismiss. He just decided to get on his show and try to get as much attention as he could. And he accuses Brett, so we're clear, about stealing from the poor in Mississippi. It wasn't in that clip, but that's what he has said. So he, contrary to what Shannon Sharpe was probably told, this is a good time to keep your mouth shut, decided to go on and speak again and make a joke that he doesn't have a lawyer and that his wife says he's really terrible about apologizing. Well, I guarantee you the jury in Mississippi will make certain he learns how to apologize. It's going to cost Pat McAfee millions of dollars. And if it bankrupts him, then he will have learned his lesson about you don't try to promote yourself by inappropriately and improperly attacking somebody else.
You shots fired. Bang, bang. It's important to note that what Pat McAfee said was, for the information that we have currently, we have to mention he tied the hands of poor people and took money right out of their pockets. That's what McAfee said in November. That's what Hirschman was referring to. He also noted that Favre was denying the accusations. The problem is, and the problem for Brett Favre in this whole thing, aside from the fact that he looks like a complete ass in all of this, the problem is that it's very difficult to prove defamation when you're a celebrity, because you have to be able to prove that McAfee acted, this is the law, acted with actual malice. And the U.S. has a tough standard for defamation when it comes to public figures such as Brett Favre. So, and whether it's, whether he thinks it is or not, the standard is so high, these cases often get thrown out without ever even being heard. Because you're a celebrity, this is what you buy into. Plain and simple. And Brett Favre probably doesn't have a case here. Pat McAfee knows that. And despite the fact that he jokes around, he probably does have an attorney telling him that too. We're back with another hour of the Cash In on Sports Map Radio. You know what? Put that segment in the podcast too. That might be it. Might just be the whole first hour that goes. It was just I thought it was such a good hour, honestly. Yeah. Jason Cole. Yeah. And make sure to do me a favor and send me that hour. Thank you. I need a drink. We're out on the other one too, babe.
What?
It's officially out of the Brita.
Okay, just leave it there. I'll rinse it in the dishwasher.
Oh, but it's not. It still has water in it.
So we'll just finish it.
Yeah, the True Water one needs. The True Water one needs more water in it. So I gotta do this fast.
Oh, you're still in sync.
Time is it on the top of your thing?
7:58.
Oh, right in time. Look at that. Yeah. Another hour of the show starts right now on Sports Map Radio and the Sports Map Radio app. One 800-224-2004 is the telephone number. 800-224-2004. There, we'll make it bigger. Hit me up on Twitter at the back page. Again, on Twitter at the back page. Lakers lead the Pelicans 51-42. And that's it. That's the only game left tonight. There is no other basketball being played. Oklahoma City beat Houston tonight 133-96. I mean, that is just wow. Even if you're a fan of the Thunder, that's not a fun game to go to. It's a glorified scrimmage. It was 76-54 at the half. Hey, let me bring on our producer engineer tonight is Austin Rodriguez. We don't let him talk much. We just keep him locked in a cage and he pushes buttons for the entire show. Austin, as somebody in Houston, do fans even care that they're this bad? Or have they just given up that this is sort of what it is? Like, do fans even care? Is Austin there? Oh, he might have stepped away. Sometimes that happens. It's good when you go to your producer and he's not there. Austin, come back. I didn't mean it. You're still my favorite. Austin's not there. All right. I'll have to ask him. Find out when he comes back. That is an all-time great radio moment. I was like, wow, the first hour of the show tonight was really good. And then that happens to start the second hour. The Rockets shot, just tell you how prolifically bad this game was. Oklahoma City tonight shot a little over 48% from the field. The Rockets shot 33.7% from the field. I mean, wow. I mean, that's as bad as it gets. They were 10 of 37 from three. So they were just indiscriminately chucking up threes. Their leading scorer had 15. Austin, are you there? No, he's still not there. All right. Oh, there you are. I'm sorry. I didn't know you'd stepped away. I was just asking during the at the top of the hour. I was talking about Houston. Do fans even care how bad they are in Houston? Like, you're in Houston, so you get to hear the local sports talk. You work on both stations, I assume. So there's a local station there in Houston on top of this the network which I air on. Do people even care that they're this bad? Like, are fans even upset? Yeah, see, they don't even care. They don't even care. You know what I mean? Like that. And again, if I'm ownership, I'm monitoring that. If I'm the Fertittas, I'm monitoring the fact that the team's not good. And the fans are just kind of saying, it's all right. And look, maybe fans are already starting to look forward to spring training. Pitchers and catchers reporting. Astros baseball is right around the corner. Eventually the Texans will be good again. It just might take a while. Got a new head coach. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. So there's almost an idea of being used to it in Houston that, hey, one or two of our teams going to suck. And we just move forward. Yeah. I still can't fathom the fact that they're averaging over 16,000 fans a game at those games this year. Like I said before, the Thunder are actually a 500 basketball team. Playing their, you know what's off. I can say ass. They're playing their asses off. I'm allowed to say that. The Thunder are playing their asses off. They're a 500 team. They'd be in the postseason if it started today, or at least the playoff. They have the lowest attendance in the league. Oklahoma City, that's a bad job by you. And I know we're on in Oklahoma City. That is outright shameful. That fan base, which used to be one of the greatest places in the NBA during the Durant, Harden, Westbrook days. I saw Jason Roberson was trying to get on a team, trying to get back into the league. I can't fathom the fact that the Thunder, with as hard as that team has played, remember, they lost Chet Holmgren during the offseason before they even got to training camp. He hurt himself during one of those like summer league exhibition games. And Thunder fans aren't even showing up to see that team. They're dead last in the league in attendance. And that is absolutely dreadful. 15,318. And if you don't think that stuff matters, it matters. It matters to the guys on the court. It matters to free agents who are looking at potential destinations in the offseason. And it's not as if, and again, I don't say this as a shot at Oklahoma City. I would never, I'm not taking a cheap shot here. But you know the same thing I do. It's difficult to get free agents in places like Oklahoma City because they can go play in Houston or Dallas and no state income tax. They can go play under the bright lights of LA or New York with two teams in New York. They can go play, in a major market like Chicago. They can go play in Boston. It's not easy. It's not easy for fan bases. I mean, it's not easy for organizations like the Thunder to draw in big name free agents. You have to make it appetizing. And yeah, the fans play a role in that. Attendance matters in that. You're going to be in the playoffs for crying out loud. Unless something terrible happens and this team just becomes something it hasn't been through the first 57 games this year. This team's a playoff team. At the very least, it's a play-in tournament team. And you can't sell that place out. You can't come close. And again, I say respectfully, what else is there to do in the winter in Oklahoma City? Where the hell are the fans? You got to help me out with this. Because that used to be one of the great NBA markets. It was one of the great NBA success stories. It was like a college atmosphere in that arena. And then everybody left, and so did the fans, and they haven't come back. They are 10th in the West right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They play hard every night. They've got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and the fans don't show up. It's so awful. Yet more fans show up to see Houston, who's doing their best to be their worst. And fans aren't showing up to see the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are playing their butts off every night. 1-800-224-2004 from anywhere in America. I want somebody in Oklahoma City to call in and tell me why fans aren't showing up. What reason can you possibly have? You've been bad for years. Now you're actually good. You're respectable. You have the same record, essentially, as the Golden State Warriors, who won the NBA championship last year. Let me repeat that for the people in the back who couldn't hear me. Same record as the Warriors. You're better than the Blazers and the Lakers. You're literally 2 games away on the loss side from being a 4 seed. and that fan base isn't showing up. 800-224-2004. I don't get it. I just don't get it. 800-224-2004. On Twitter at the back page. I'd be out there every night if I was in Oklahoma City. Granted, I'd have a press credential, but yeah, you know. But I would. I'd be out there watching that team. In Oklahoma City tonight, the beneficiary of playing against the god-awful Houston Rockets. Doing their best to do their worst. Coming up later in this hour, 20 minutes from now, we'll chat with Jason Cole, Outkick.com's fantastic national NFL writer. He is a Hall of Fame selector. We'll get his reaction to what happened at the Super Bowl. Lakers, by the way, leading the Pelicans late second quarter, very late, 44.9 to go in the second. 55-49, Lakers on top of the Pelicans. It is a huge week in golf. Tiger took part in the Pro-Am today. He's taking part in the Genesis Invitational. I can't wait to watch that tomorrow. Tiger, Rory McIlroy, and Justin Thomas teeing off together at, 3 p.m. Eastern, I think. Sign me up. We're back with more of the Cash In on Sports Map Radio. And a bang. Da 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 da. Insider. Good to have you with us. Sports Map Radio and the Sports Map Radio app. Live betting. No Zion Williamson for the Pelicans tonight. They trail in LA at the half against the Lakers 55-51. Live betting. Pelicans plus 5.5. Plus 220 on the money line. 225.5 is the total for the live betting on that game. Proceed at your own risk, I guess. I mean, I haven't seen a ton of the first half, so it's tough for me to say. Nuggets beat the Mavericks 118-109 tonight, by the way. That's a final. And that's it. We are into the final game of the night, that Pelicans-Lakers game, the only thing going on the rest of the way. We'll talk NFL coming up in 15 with Jason Cole from Outkick.com, their national NFL writer, insider. He's a Hall of Fame selector. He will give us some time on the show, and we'll get his thoughts on all things related to the NFL world. And there's already been plenty of news coming out of the NFL offseason. So let me just make sure I got this here. There's nothing going on. Okay. Tiger Woods tees it off at the Genesis Invitational tomorrow. And he is paired with Rory McIlroy. And he is paired with Justin Thomas. Can't wait for that. Let's see, what time are they? Let's see what I want to see what the odds are. So they do this thing on a lot of these sports betting sites. FanDuel certainly does it as well. Let's see if they have betting odds on that group. So they do. Here we go. Who wins in the threesome tomorrow? Justin Thomas is going off at plus 140. Rory is going off at plus 105, which is practically even money. And Tiger, plus 500. And let me tell you something. If you don't think these guys see that stuff, if you don't think they see the numbers, let me tell you, Rory and Justin are not giving shots to Tiger tomorrow if they have a little side action going on. I can promise you. There is not going to be side action where Tiger's like, "Hey, I haven't played in a while. Can I get two aside?" It's not going to happen, I promise. Yeah, so Tiger's plus 500, Justin Thomas plus. I tell you, I might put a wager on Tiger at plus 500. You know why? Because he's Tiger Woods, and those guys got to play with him. They tee off tomorrow at 3:04 p.m. Eastern. Obviously, the premier group of the day, maybe the premier group of the tournament, although a close second might be Colin Morikawa, just Jordan Spieth, and Scotty Scheffler, who will tee off about 11 minutes after. They're two groups after Justin Thomas, Tiger Woods, and Rory McIlroy. Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun watching that tournament. Tiger Specials. Again, this is on FanDuel. We love talking about betting on our show. If you're new to the show, we give you a macro view of the sports betting world, and we talk about the top stories of the day. Tiger Woods' round one score, 71 or worse, is minus 186. I mean, wow. There is no faith in Tiger in Vegas. My God. The sports books are basically begging you to bet on Tiger playing well. They are begging you to bet on him going low. They're absolutely daring you to do it. They're not even trying to cover potential losses. There's no hedging. They're saying Tiger's going to suck, and you can make money if you want to bet on him to do well. So Tiger is minus 186 to go 71 or worse. He is plus 144 to do 70 or better. Tiger Woods to make 4+ birdies in round one. Was minus 140, now it's plus 125. Bogey-free round 1. I would never touch that number. I wouldn't take that for anybody. Because going bogey-free is tough. Especially right now, the weather out here is kind of weird. It's cold. Although they'll be teeing off in the afternoon, so it shouldn't be too bad. They'll get a crappy tee time on Friday morning, though. Tiger plus 2,200 to go bogey-free. Wow. Imagine just throwing $100 on Tiger to go bogey-free, and he does. 2,200. Boom. Done. Rory plus 1,100. Here's the problem. Every time I've ever done anything with Tiger from a betting standpoint or a fantasy sports standpoint, I have gotten murdered for it. Every time I've counted on him playing well from a betting or fantasy standpoint, he has crushed my hopes and dreams. So I'm not touching it. Tiger's plus 2,200 to go bogey free. Rory McIlroy is plus 1,100. Justin Thomas is plus 1,200. There's a lot of Tiger bets. There's a ton of Tiger bets going on in this opening round. So if you want action, there's plenty of it as it relates to Tiger. How about this one? Ready for this? This is crazy. 7 birdies or better in round. This is just silliness. 7 birdies or better in round 1. Tiger is plus 1,800. How about 4 birdies or better in round 1? Tiger's minus 140 for 4 birdies or better. Even Tiger, they think even Tiger can do that. I tell you, I will be. Tomorrow's a Thursday. I got something going on tomorrow. I really want to watch this though, and it starts at noon. Torturing me. This is like, I totally forgot this was on tomorrow. I made plans for tomorrow. Lessons learned. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Hit me up on Twitter at the back page. Again, on Twitter at the back page. Not a lot of confidence in Tiger Woods. To miss, look. To miss the cut, Tiger is minus 230. I mean, again, they're daring you to say that he's going to make the cut. They don't even think Tiger's good enough to make the cut. He's plus 178 to make the cut. He has the worst odds to make the cut. Plus 178. I mean, it's crazy to me. I know he hasn't played in a while, and he's even said he's rusty, but I think that's Tiger setting expectations low. Tiger Woods is not showing up at this event. He hosts the event. Do you think that he's been sitting on the couch eating Kit Kats and Reese's Pieces for the last few weeks leading into this event? You don't think he's been practicing? You just think he woke up and said, last Friday, you know what, I'm going to play the Genesis Invitational, and just showed up this week, and he hasn't been swinging the club, and he hasn't been hitting chips, and he hasn't been hitting putts? Do you really think that's what's going on here? So Tiger says I'm a little rusty, and the odds plummet. And then he goes out there tomorrow and shoots 66, and on Friday morning, we're going to have a story to tell. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm just saying, it defies logic to me. He might say he's rusty, but that's him just setting the bar low in case he plays bad. I can guarantee you, Tiger's been playing. He's been practicing. There's no way he would show up at this event and potentially embarrass himself at one of, a tournament with a great field and all that. There's no way. Tiger ain't doing that. This is a smart guy. This is a calculating guy. And I'm not saying that as a pejorative. I'm saying that as he is somebody that calculates these things. Nothing is done without careful consideration. He is not showing up at Riviera where he knows he's going to be challenged, where he knows he's going to be paired up with great golfers, and he's going to go out there and shoot 74 tomorrow. I just don't see it. If I am wrong, Austin, bookmark the time on the show. Bookmark the time on the show where I said it so we can go back and get it. Because if I'm wrong tomorrow, I'll play it back and I will make myself sound like an idiot. I won't need somebody to do it for me. Minus 240 to miss the cut. Wow. Be fun to talk about tomorrow night, that's for sure. We're coming back with Jason Cole from Outkick.com. Their national NFL insider joins us on the Cash In on Sports Map Radio. Oh. Why is this chair? Thank you, Chad Erickson. Thanks to you for being with us tonight. Halfway home on this Wednesday. Say hello to our good friend Jason Cole, who I was just regaling with the tales of my intermittent fasting that I'm currently going through and how I'm hangry halfway through the show because I just want to eat something and I can't. It's brutal. Jason Cole, Outkick.com, does a great job. NFL insider, writer, Hall of Fame selector, has joined us throughout the entire NFL season. So what surprised you the most? I don't want to go like all crazy talking about the Super Bowl because now it's 4 days old. It's like yesterday's news, but I haven't had a chance to talk to you since the game. What surprised you most, especially the further away from the game we get and the more you probably sit and think about it and ruminate in it? What surprises you the most about what we saw?
Well, I think there are two things. Number one, I mean, the second one, which is a little bit kind of tougher to appreciate, is the cleverness of those two touchdowns in the second half. The routes that they ran, those reverse motion ones that the Chiefs ran, where they caught the Philly defensive backs peeking too much and looking away. And both routes are designed the same. So this is like, you really have to do a lot of research and really, really look at teams to know that they have this tendency to do that. And then to run it twice on a team in one game. And I'm not saying the Chiefs wouldn't have scored somehow from that close anyways, but the fact that these are walk-in touchdowns alone in a competitive part of the field it's really fascinating. And the fact that they knew that Philly would play basically man coverage in both situations and do kind of a sloppy job on both of them. So that was really surprising to see, just from a technical standpoint. But from a less technical standpoint and more obvious, I'm really surprised that they called the defensive holding call.
Really?
It's just not a call that you would. It's not a call that you want to make. It's not a call that refs want to make in that situation. There's just a tendency to say, like, let them play. And that's really the right way to look at it. I'm surprised that they didn't call it in the first half when there was a really obvious one that you should have called early in the game because it did affect the drive. And it was an egregious one. In fact, there were almost two holds on the same play by Philadelphia. But there was a really obvious one that they should have called in the first half that contributed to the fact that the Eagles held the ball for so long in the first half.
But does that contribute? But does that contribute to the one that's called in that spot in the fourth quarter? Because the coaches are working the officials during the game.
Maybe it's hard to get. It's hard to know without being inside somebody's head and really knowing about it. But the bottom line is, I'm just surprised that you make that call. Like, I remember the Baltimore-San Francisco Super Bowl where Crabtree's up against Jimmy Smith in the corner of the end zone. And Jimmy Smith, basically commits pass interference. And that one was far more egregious than this one. And they just said, play on. Right? Like, this is time for guys to step up and, be a man and make a play. Right? We're not gonna bail anybody out. This is not the regular season. And that call in that game was a regular season. Okay, bail out the offense. Let's get some more points scored here. Determine it. It was not a call I would. I'm not saying it wasn't by the book. It was a penalty, but it's one of those ticky-tack ones that you just don't want to see determine the outcome of a game. You just don't. It also takes away a lot of the drama at the end. And again, the Chiefs, I don't know if they win or not, but the drama of, Philly getting the ball with, a minute something left in that game to see if they can drive the field. That's what you want to see. That's how you want to see the game end, not taking a knee and, going down to the one, and Philly trying to let him score, and all those kinds of things. Like that's just gamesmanship at the end. It's not really football. Jason
Cole, our guest, NFL Insider, Outkick.com, giving us some time on the show tonight. All right, move away from that. Let's run through a few here. Aaron Rodgers going finally into this darkness retreat. Talking about all sorts of weird stuff with Pat McAfee, which my mind is blown. Are we any closer to either side on this? And having any sense for whether the Packers, again, I've said it all along, it's the married couple. One of them needs to pull the plug on it because the other doesn't want to do it or say something, it feels like. Are we any closer to any sort of resolution or idea about what way this goes? I know there was reporting over the weekend about the Jets inquiring about Rodgers. What are you hearing?
Well, it's the Jets. It's going to be a bunch of teams that are going to inquire about Rodgers. I mean, if you're the 49ers and you don't inquire, I mean, what are you thinking, right? You don't know if Brock Purdy's going to be back or what he's going to be. You don't know that. You probably think Trey Lance can't play at this point in time. You have to make calls, right? And everybody else. Now, I think the 49ers are in a really difficult situation because I don't think they can afford him, either on the picks or on the contract itself. But you got to make the call, and New England has to make the call, and the Jets have made the call. There's going to be a bunch of teams that want him. I think that the one thing that we don't know is what do the Packers really think about Jordan Love? Do they think that he can play or not? If they think he can play, then I think they have to say enough is enough. And enough is enough of being held hostage by the court by Aaron Rodgers, which they've been held hostage the last couple of years. The drama that he has, is this any different than the cleanse he went through last year? It's some Eastern religion thing every off season, right? Is he burning incense and, the man bond and the incense and the cleanse and the,
ayahuasca. Yeah. Don't forget the ayahuasca.
I have to go explore my soul or whatever. Like, you're playing football, dude. Either you want to play or you don't.
Could you imagine? I'm just sitting there thinking, could you imagine being in a relationship with this guy? I mean, who really the only relationship he has is with himself. I mean, let's just be honest about it. Can you imagine? I can't fathom what it's like to be the other person in a relationship with this guy. You got to be a rare bird.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where, last year when he started really taking on LaFleur during games, right? There's a certain point where you're undermining your coach with the way that he conducts himself. And I don't know. Here's the question: how badly does Belichick want to win, or at least keep that guy away from the Jets? That he'd be willing to deal with that, because for all of the and the last couple of years between him and Brady and the back and forth between those two, which really was disagreements, but not on this level. Could you imagine Belichick and Brady and Rodgers trying to work through issues?
No, I absolutely can't.
And I can't see Rodgers Rodgers would just take over the Jets. He would just.
But I think they are okay. But I think Woody Johnson would be fine with that.
Well, I understand that, and maybe that works out, but. Then if he takes over the whole team and everybody knows it, and the media knows it, then the media is going to war with him if things don't work out. And can you imagine him? He's got problems enough with the Green Bay media. Can you imagine him versus the New York?
I lived there, man. I know.
Jets fans ain't going for that, that Eastern religion, California, incense burning, cleansing, I've got to get away with myself. They just ain't doing that. The Jets fans don't play that.
No.
Right? Like Fireman Ed is not introspective. He's just not. Right?
Yeah, I get it. Listen, I wasn't.
It's just like it's straight out of Homie Don't Play. It's just that's what it is, man.
I wasn't going to hold you. Hold on. I wasn't going to hold you, but I got to get to something else, and we went long there. Just hold with me for 1 second. I got to ask you a couple more. All right. Jason Cole, Outkick.com, national NFL writer. He's giving me a laugh. I love it. We're coming back. Outkick.com's Jason Cole. More with him next. Only because I've been in that market and hosted sports radio in that market. I cannot. I can. It would be the shit show of shit shows. But I want to see it so bad. I want to see him there so bad because they will eat him alive as much of a snowflake as he is.
Oh, they'll just rip him up one side and down there. Like Francesa on a daily basis will unload on him. If they anything that they will just unload on him.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. He'll probably, to be quite honest, he'll probably harness that, antagonism to be the energy to make him be better. Like he could do that, but it will be an all-out. It'll be a brawl every week between him and the New York Rangers.
I just wonder. I just wonder if they by now haven't made the decision to cut ties or say that we're going to trade him or whatever, because I don't know what they'd be waiting for. I don't know why they would be dragging it out. They must believe that Jordan Love isn't the real deal. I can't think of any other reason why. They have to know by now. They've seen him in practice. He's played a little bit. They've got to have some sense by now.
Sure, they absolutely have a sense. I don't know what that sense is. But, I mean, the reason, I think they're just letting the mark. I mean, technically, they can't really trade him until the beginning of the year. So there's no reason. And it works to their advantage if the rumors grow about the Patriots wanting him, continue to grow. It only helps their market. They could end up with 4 first-round picks at it.
That's amazing for a 39-year-old quarterback.
Well, yeah, but they could end up. I mean, I really think it's going to be 2 plus, a second that becomes a first if they, team wins a title or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could, and they have to pay him the whatever $16 million that he's still owed. I mean, it's an outrageous deal to have to take on. But yeah, I just think him in New York, again, is just going to be. It's going to be really just awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it is. It's going to be get your popcorn out. Do you think there's any chance he retires?
I don't know. What did he call this thing he's doing?
The darkness retreat?
Darkness retreat. He could. I mean, there's just too much money on the line. And I do think that he just loves the attention at this point. I think it's
pathological. Man, I said it last week. It's pathological.
Oh, yeah. He's a more intelligent version of Antonio Brown. Do you notice how Antonio Brown, every 3 to 6 weeks comes out with something because he needs people to pay attention to him?
Yeah.
It's just like clockwork. It's like, oh yeah, we haven't heard from Antonio Brown. It's time for him to do something stupid.
Yeah.
Right. And that's Rodgers is sort of like that as well.
And I'll tell you, he gets away with saying some crazy shit on McAfee's show. Like he really does. Like tinfoil wrapped around your head crazy sort of shit that he gets away with. That if Kyrie Irving says it, people would be going nuts. He says it. It's like, whatever. Just Aaron being Aaron. We're coming back. Hold on. Continuing our conversation with Outkick.com's NFL insider Jason Cole. He's got a Hall of Fame vote, too. Well, he's a Hall of Fame selector. It's different in the NFL. It's not a vote, per se. It's a selector. It's even better. All right, move away from Aaron Rodgers. Move away from Aaron Rodgers for a minute, because I could literally spend an hour just talking with you about that mess. Like I said, I just hope he winds up in New York so we could just all grab our popcorn and we'll literally talk about Aaron Rodgers every day on the show, which is exactly what he wants. How long do you think it is before Derek Carr has a new home? He doesn't have to wait. Like, some people have to wait, league fiscal year, all that stuff. Derek Carr could sign tonight if he wanted to with somebody. Is there any sense for where he's going? Is New Orleans the popular spot? What do you think? Or is he going to do the tour and just go, get wined and dined by everybody?
No, I don't think he's going to. I would doubt he doesn't have to do the tour at this point. When you're a veteran player, you don't have to do that. You can call around. So it's really just about the bidding war and the right fit. To me, New Orleans makes a lot of sense for him. You've got, ready-made weapons, decent offense, pre-established what they like to do. That makes sense. Tampa makes sense in some ways. So I would say it's going to be let's just say this. One of the top things it's going to be is a warm weather city because he doesn't like playing in the cold. He's terrible. He's a terrible cold weather quarterback. So he ain't going to like Green Bay or some place that plays outdoors. He ain't playing in New England. Not by a long shot. Not that he would fit with Belichick, but that wouldn't work for him. So I would say that one of those places would make a lot of sense.
I gotta say, I kind of marvel at this whole thing where people are like, "Well, the best thing after Aaron Rodgers is Derek Carr," and people seem to forget Jimmy Garoppolo's been to a Super Bowl, he's been to a conference championship game, he's won playoff games. What has Derek Carr done? I mean, I get that he's injury prone, and sometimes he'll make a decision that drives you nuts. But when you look at it by the numbers, when he plays, Jimmy Garoppolo is a better quarterback than Derek Carr.
Yeah, there was one critical thing you said in there, though. When he plays. So you can say, oh, he's injury prone. No. The phrase injury prone has a picture of Jimmy Garoppolo. Saying, here is the definitive injury prone player. Now, I would also say, look, there's something to be said about, okay, playing in Kyle Shanahan's system may expose you to more injury. That's fair. But the guy was also injured. Remember that one year that he had to step in and play for Brady and he got hurt in the second game? This has been his whole career. He just can't stay upright. And, it's unfortunate. Because he can play a little, but he'll have a brain fart on a regular basis. Pretty much every game he's going to have one. And if you're in a close game, he's going to especially have one. But the biggest problem is he just can't stay on the field. That's a fact. So I would take Derek Carr because availability is the most important ability, as the saying goes.
Jimmy G back to New England? Is there anything about that makes sense?
Yeah, they know what he's good at. I'm not sure that Jimmy G is a whole lot different than what they have right now.
Mac Jones, yeah.
Yeah, it's like if they're going to do something at quarterback, they got to do something serious at quarterback. They've got to do a serious kind of an upgrade. I don't think you trade out one mediocre guy for another mediocre guy, especially when that one mediocre guy is so injury prone. That would be my take on it.
Jason Cole, NFL Insider, Outkick.com, joining us here on the Cash In on Sports Map Radio. Is there anybody in the league looking into, or is there any talk behind the scenes about this Eric Bieniemy situation with him being passed over again? I don't know what the league can do. It already does what it does with the Rooney Rule, and you can think what you want of it, but it is what it is. there's got to be some frustration around the league. You know, there's frustration within the Andy Reid and Bieniemy camp. Is there anything that's coming out of this with him not getting a job yet again?
But I think it's the one thing that people won't talk about. He's a terrible interview, and people just don't trust that he's the guy to run an organization. Maybe be your offensive coordinator, but people and look, I hear that, and then I counter by saying, yeah, well, Dave Lundstedt was a head coach in this league, so people trusted him to run two different teams, and they gave him 11 years as a head coach. And he's just a buffoon, right? Richie Kotek was a coach. And, there's a bunch of guys out there who have been head coaches who are just buffoons. But there's just a lack of belief in the enemy. And I don't know how you solve that. Like, how do you solve whether, somebody sits down for an interview with a guy and they come to the conclusion, that's just not it. That he's a soldier, not a general. That's just the perception, and it has not gone away. It's again, fair or not, that's out there, and I get it why people would not want to hire that guy to run. If that's real. I've never interviewed him myself, besides to talk with him. And he's a very nice man, and seems to know what he's doing, but I've never put him through the rigors of a bunch of, head coach kind of questions.
Jason Cole, NFL Insider, Outkick.com. Hey, good news. I'm not going to be bothering you next week because I'm going to be off for most of the week. So you got a freebie.
Enjoy your plunge.
Yeah, I'm going into a darkness. I'm going to go into a darkness retreat.
You'll plunge into the darkness retreat.
I'm going to go do a darkness retreat with tons of ayahuasca. I'm in California, so I could smoke all the weed I want. Truth is, I don't smoke any of that stuff, but I do have edibles. I do have 3 bags of edibles in the house, and I think I've eaten one to try and sleep one night. But truthfully, have a great week, and we'll talk to you on the other side of my vacation.
I'm sure. All right, man.
Love it. Thanks. Jason Cole, great job, as always, joining us on the show tonight. Yeah, that stuff's legal here. I don't do it, though. I don't do any of that stuff. All these things are legal, and I don't even do them. I'm not a big drinker. I was saying to Jason Cole that I'm doing this thing right now where I am doing intermittent fasting, and I take it to the extreme. Like I limit my calories, and I'm intermittent fasting, so I drop weight even faster because I'm having like less than 1,000 calories a day. Can you imagine, Austin, eating less than 1,000 calories a day? Well, every single day for the last week and a half I have. And by about 9 o'clock at night out here, I'm just ready to bite somebody's head off. You say the wrong thing tonight, I might jump through this microphone and strangle you. It's terrible. But we do what we got to do to get healthy, man. Got to do it. You can lose weight one of 2 ways. Either exercise like a fiend or limit your caloric intake. That's the way it works for me. I either have to do some combination of modifying my diet and running, or I have to really modify my diet to the extreme because, and right now the problem is my knees are shot. Just my arthritis in my knees. 3 years ago, I was running, I could do a 5K. Now I can't do that kind of running. My knees just can't handle it because of the weight. Not that I'm massive. I mean, if anybody's looking at me on camera, I'm not like, this isn't my 600-pound life. I mean, I'm 238 pounds. I was 251. I'm down to 238. But my knees are shot. At 45, my knees are shot. I got to figure out a way to get through 10 more years with these knees. because then I could get them replaced. But right now, that is not happening. They ain't replacing anybody's knees at 45. Doctor looked at me. He said, "You better lose weight. It's the only way you're going to be able to do anything with those knees." That's how we wrap up the second hour of the show. A little health update for you. I'm still playing. No days off. Well, there will be some next week. We're coming back for the final hour of a Wednesday edition of the Cash In all across America on Sports Map Radio. Whew. Drinking water instead of Diet Coke. Oh, it's brutal, man. Yeah, black. If it's black, it's all right. If you're drinking it with or even a little bit of milk, but can't put the sugar in it, man. The sugar is a killer. Yeah, sugar is a killer, man. Like I've cut out salt. I've cut out sugary stuff. Some of the sugary stuff, a lot of it. I've cut out carbs. No bread. Very little bread. But like, I think, no joke, like I lose it, and I lose it fast. And I want to do more TV stuff and things like that. And you know what? Being heavy just doesn't look good on TV. It just doesn't. It's just, I hate it. TV is not kind to fat people. Wake up call. of a Wednesday/Thursday edition of the show. Good to have you with us, alongside producer engineer Austin Rodriguez tonight. Glad to have you as part of our audience. Hello to our friends in Dallas. I assume they're out of post game, but you never know. Listening on 97.1 The Freak. After another, why didn't Kyrie Irving play tonight? Was it just a night off or something? Was he hurt? Oh, there's so many jokes I can make. So many jokes I can make. Yep, he missed tonight. Let's see if I can get the exact thing here about Kyrie. Kyrie missing his first game. It just says he's officially out. But you're saying back tightness. I'll take your word for it. I don't know if I'll take his word for it, but he gets a night off, and the Mavericks fall tonight. Yeah. Mavericks fall tonight in Denver. Final was 118-109. Luka finished with 37. Next best scorer had 17, which was Christian Wood. I'm not going to judge it. You know, I was one of those people that said, and if you listen to this show, I was one of the people that said, wait and see. Take your time. Do not overanalyze this deal, because it's not a deal you're making for games in middle of February. It's a deal you're making for games in the middle of, April, when this team is expected to, at the very least, be in the play-in tournament, if not be, a lock in the top 6 and a team in the playoffs. Do not judge this deal on how it looks now. But I said it an hour ago. And for the Dallas fans that weren't here an hour ago because you were in the game, and maybe you're out of post-game now, I'll say it again. When you sit here and look at what Jalen Brunson is doing in New York and what you dealt to get Kyrie Irving, and compare the Kyrie Irving numbers to Jalen Brunson, it's a head-scratcher to me how this organization screwed this up this badly. Because you might think in your mind, and because of the way people talk about Kyrie Irving, you might think that he walks on water and invented basketball. His numbers and Jalen Brunson's numbers this season, which is where we are right now, you can't talk to me about, well, it's Jalen Brunson's first breakout season, and Kyrie's been doing it for years. You can't talk to me about that, because it has nothing to do with right now for the Dallas Mavericks. And it has nothing to do with next year or the year after. None of that matters. They gave away a guy who was already there. They let him walk out the door. And now they've got Kyrie Irving, who might work out. Who knows? Maybe they go on some magical run in the West. I memean, look, everybody seems to think the West is wide open there, even though Denver's 41-18 tonight and beat you. But I just, for the life of me, I mean, have Maverick fans thought about this? The fact that you let Jalen Brunson walk out the door? You let Jalen Brunson just walk for nothing? And you traded away role players that you may not think they're going to miss, but trust me, they miss them. And you get back Kyrie Irving, who you might have for 3 months. And if you have him for 4 years, you're going to have to sit there for 4 years and wonder, when's he going off the deep end? Because it will happen. Track record shows it will happen. He will go off the deep end at some point. He'll say something stupid. He'll do something stupid, and it'll be all over. But it is kind of funny. We were talking about it in the last hour with Jason Cole from Outkick.com, their national NFL writer. And we were getting into the whole thing about Aaron Rodgers. And I was saying to him, I think I was saying it during the break. So it may not have been heard by our radio audience. It was certainly on the video feed. I was saying that, and rather colorfully, I was saying it, that if Aaron Rodgers, if Kyrie Irving said the things that Aaron Rodgers was saying, remember the flat earth thing where people went nuts for 6 months talking about Kyrie and the flat earth comment? Aaron Rodgers says those things and he gets a pass. Largely, he gets a pass. The Kyrie thing with the COVID vaccine, same thing was going on with Aaron Rodgers. Darkness retreats and taking, hallucinogens and all. If that were Kyrie Irving, we'd be going crazy about it. And with Aaron Rodgers, I do tend to, hit him harder than most media outlets because I just don't care. And I'm not trying to be friends with these guys or trying to get them on the show. And trust me, in another 6 to 9 months, we will have some interesting things going on with my show and some things going on with my company. But so I don't suck up to people. I just don't. If you do something great, I'll be the first one to say it. If you say something stupid, I'll be the first one to call you out. If I agree with you, I'll tell you. If I disagree, I'll tell you. But there's so many people in the media that just won't call out Aaron Rodgers for what he is. And again, if he couldn't throw a football as well as he does, if he could not throw a football, this oblong-shaped object, 50 or 60 yards and hit a moving target, if he couldn't do that, I say it all the time, he'd be sitting outside of a Target in Berkeley right now, smoking up with his friends. That's it. You could say all you want, he's smart, he went to Berkeley. You know how many burnouts go to those places? Do you know how many people go and get a 4-year degree and then burn out? And then, wind up living in their parents' basements. So don't tell me about, he went to Berkeley. You know how many people I know that went to Yale and did nothing with it? I mean, trust me, a degree does not guarantee success. I'm living proof. I barely graduated high school. I went to college for a semester and dropped out. I did all right for myself. I've done what I wanted to do for the last 25 years in media. So don't give me the whole college degree thing. And like I said, I can't imagine what it would be like to be Aaron Rodgers. Like, could you imagine being Aaron Rodgers' significant other? I mean, look, there's a reason he hasn't had the longest relationship he has is with himself. The longest relationship he's had is with the Packers, who tolerate him because he does something really well and helps that organization. But all you need to know about the person is the fact that his most successful relationship is with himself. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You want to tweet at the show from anywhere in America, you could do it right now at The Back Page. Again, on Twitter, at The Back Page. Later on in this hour, our 2 for 1 tonight. It's Kurt Helin, pro basketball talk at NBCSports.com. We'll get some thoughts with him on, this conversation we had at the top of the show tonight about the tanking of the Houston Rockets. And Kenny Smith's all bent out of shape about it. And my advice to Kenny Smith is, first of all, look around the history of the league. Teams have been tanking forever. And secondly, I would tank too if 16,240 fans still showed up to watch my sucky basketball team. I would tank too for Victor Wembanyama. I would win 13 of my first 57 games and get my doors blown off by Oklahoma City tonight. I would absolutely tank if I knew the fans were going to keep showing up in Houston despite how sucky my team is. You want to get mad about tanking? Get mad at the fans. I mean that. You want to get mad about tanking, get mad at the fans. Because as long as they show up, as long as they pay the concessions, as long as they do all that, there's no impetus for change. So we'll get Kurt Helin's thoughts on that coming up about 20 minutes from now here on the show. See, Novak Djokovic applied for an exemption from the COVID mandate in the U.S. because it's not going to be, the COVID mandate doesn't get lifted in the U.S. until May. And as a result, Novak Djokovic can't play the two big events in the U.S., which is the BNP Paribas, which takes place about 15 minutes from my condo here in Palm Springs, which is the fifth major of the tennis season, and the Miami Open, big tournament in Miami. He can't play that. So he's put in for an exemption. People don't think he's going to get it. I'm at the point now where I'm like, dude, if the government knows they're getting rid of the exemption in May and Novak Djokovic says, I want to come into the country in March, let him come into the country. I'm done with it at this point. And it's not because I think, you shouldn't get the vaccine, because I do think you should get the vaccine, because I've had COVID twice, and God only knows what I would have wound up being if I didn't get the vaccine. Instead, I had a minor cold. Let Novak come and play. We're back with an update on the Lakers next. Come drink some of this. Oh, but have a little more. I don't want to have that many calories. Watching my calorie count. See, and now I want to go for a walk after the show, and I can't.
Take him again. He's very restless.
Take him downtown?
Yeah. I drove, so we didn't go for a nice long walk. And then he was dragging me over, so I was like, we're not.
Yeah. Coming up in 15 minutes, my conversation with Kurt Helin. He's our 2-for-1 tonight. Pro basketball talk at NBCSports.com. Get his thoughts on tanking in the NBA. Good tune. I like it. Hey, here's a shocking story. The Power Slap League is a bad idea. I was screaming about this before it became official that, you know, they're launching this Power Slap League. It's literally, it's like something you would expect to see on like ESPN 8, The Ocho. And now it's becoming more mainstream because the Nevada State Athletic Commission has sanctioned it. It's called Power Slap. Dana White's UFC basically has backed it. And, it's literally guys just standing across from each other and slapping each other. Like, I think they should do one where people stand across from each other. Hey, Austin, how about this idea? They should do it instead of a Power Slap League. We should have a Kick People in the Nuts League where people just stand across from each other and repeatedly kick each other in the nuts until somebody falls down. How's that? Can we do that? Exactly. If you can have a league where people slap each other in the face, which is like one of the most insulting things you could do, I think we should have something where people just stand across from each other and kick each other in the nads. It's absolutely, because you know what? These guys probably have so much testosterone, and taking steroids and all that stuff. They're not going to be able to have kids anyway. So it's not like kicking them in the nuts is going to be any, real damage. Whereas opposed to being slapped in the head repeatedly, oh, look at this. Many competitors in the most recent competition exhibited apparent concussion-like syndromes, raising safety concerns about Power Slap. Wow. Really? Who could foresee that from people that are massive, taking a huge swing and slapping each other across the face? Who could imagine? I don't know how we could not have foreseen that people would be concussed from having their heads smacked with an open, but it's an open hand. It's not like they're punching each other. You might as well. Nevada State Athletic Commission is scheduled to discuss potential rule changes. This is great. Austin, I need you. I need to hug somebody because I'm like, what planet do I live on? Hold on a second. You have a sport that is literally geared towards the only thing they do in the Power Slap League is stand across from each other and slap each other as hard as they can, right? So let's hold on a second. The Nevada Athletic Commission is scheduled to discuss potential rules changes for slap fighting competitions, including those backed by the UFC. Hold on a second. How on earth do you regulate or change the rules to something where the object is literally to stand across from each other and slap each other? How do you change that? That is all it is. It's not like football where it's, if you hit the receiver with the crown of your helmet, what are you going to do? You can only slap them with 3 fingers, 4 fingers. The palm can't hit a certain spot on the cheek. How on earth do you change the rules to something that is literally called the Power Slap League? I can't. What planet are we on right now? That this is where we are in the year. I swear, if aliens are visiting us, there's all this talk about balloons right now. There's all these talk about balloons as my dog hurls in the background. There's all this talk about these balloons and UFOs and all this stuff flying around. I literally almost fell out of my chair laughing watching Pat McAfee talk about this the other night. It came across my YouTube feed. And I literally just started laughing, watching him try and talk coherently about anything other than football, because he's a giant meathead. So if he talks about anything other than football, it's an epic fail. Him and AJ Hawk. Really. But if aliens are visiting us, like if there are UFOs just circling around and checking us out, and they've got some antennas on there, they got some rabbit ears. They got some rabbit ears in the old UFO that's flying around, and they're turning on TV, and they're watching two guys just stand across from each other and slap the you-know-what out of each other. That's why everybody's like, when are they going to come and visit? They're not. They're not, because they're looking and they're saying it ain't worth it. It's not worth it. You've got people standing across from each other just smacking the hell out of each other. I mean, really. Do you need anything else? They're watching us walk our dogs and clean up poop after animals. And they're like, wait, who's in charge here? Is it the dogs or is it the humans? I mean, really, if you're an alien and you know nothing about this planet, but all you get is the visual and you're just looking down and you're watching, what would you want to come for? Why would you want to stop? Why would you want to stop here? I'd be on to the next solar system. I'd be like, you know what? I'm hightailing it out of here. This is why they don't stay. Because if you came here and saw two guys just standing across from each other and smacking each other, what are you going to do? God forbid if they turn on the TV and watch curling. Or an alien. I'd be like, why am I going to? This is what they're doing? They're using a broom to get some weird object to go to a target? Like, what is going on here? Oh, man. 1-800-224-2004 is the phone number, by the way. Hit me up on Twitter at the back page. It's just too much. They're already I mean, we have not had a single spring training game. They're literally in like shorts and t-shirts throwing to each other right now. And you've already got people grading the Jacob deGrom deal to the Texas Rangers as an epic failure. Like, I mean, my God, can we wait 5 minutes for the guy to have at least a spring training start before we start killing the Jacob deGrom deal? Met fans just want to be vindicated so much that this deal, they want it to fail miserably. Just so they want deGrom to go there and go like 4-16 with like a 4.5 ERA. Met fans want that so badly because, again, the Met fans' idea of success isn't how their team does. It's how everybody else does. Or if they feel wronged. Or if somebody didn't perform well. And Jacob deGrom got hurt. And look, I'll be the first one to criticize that Jacob deGrom was not on the mound enough for the Mets during his time with the Mets. But at the same time, if you're a Met fan and you read these fan sites and these different websites that have that are geared towards Met fans, and the big headline out of one of them is Rangers already experiencing the wrong side of Jacob deGrom's career. Well, he's already experiencing tightness. And the Rangers have even come out and said, cold weather, early in camp, so they're going to hold him back for an extra day or two. We're told the seriousness level is such that he'd play it if it were in the regular season. The Mets won, Rangers nothing in the Jacob deGrom saga. There's no saga to Jacob deGrom. The guy's had injury concern. There's no saga here. Jacob deGrom didn't beat an old woman and kick her dog in broad daylight in the middle of Midtown Manhattan. None of that happened. Jacob deGrom had injury problems in New York. And you loved every minute when he was on the mound. And he got offered an insane deal for the age that he's at and the injuries he's had by a team that's desperate to win. How about just saying, you know what? Good luck, Jacob. Hope it works out in Texas. Oh, yeah, we got Justin Verlander. and Max Scherzer. Can you just be happy with what you have instead of lamenting that Jacob deGrom went to Texas? My God. But that's Met fans. You think Yankee fans care about what Joey Gallo's doing in, Minnesota? You think Yankee fans care? No, they don't. That's the difference between the Yankees and the Mets. Kurt Helin on the other side. Stay tuned. Just do me a favor and make sure to send me all 3 hours. Thank you. I could honestly justify every segment of this show being in the podcast tonight. It's been that fun a show. But I don't believe in doing that. Are you with us tonight on Sports Map Radio and the Sports Map Radio app? After that freestyle monologue I just gave. I gave you 2 monologues for the price of 1 tonight. I don't even charge for it. Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Our good friend of the program stops by tonight. Row, row, row. Row, row, row. Row, row, row. You with us tonight on Sports Map Radio and the Sports Map Radio app. After that freestyle monologue I just gave. I gave you 2 monologues for the price of 1 tonight. I don't even charge for it. Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Our good friend of the program stops by tonight. Get into it with him. So I was talking about the fact that there really is no impetus. Kenny Smith is all, pissed off about the fact that the Rockets are this bad and, you can't develop talent, culture of losing, blah, 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 blah. First of all, as he looked around, there have been years where there have been teams even worse than this. I know it's personal to him because he's a former Rockets player and his passion for that organization, and I appreciate all that. But if I'm Rockets ownership, if I'm the Fertittas,
yeah,
and the Fertitti, and I've got 16,240 fans on average coming, and I'm 90% of capacity every night, and fans are still buying the concessions, and they're still paying for the parking, and they're still coming through the turnstiles for whatever reason they are. And I went off on the fans. If you want change in your organization, don't show up. just don't go. And I got news for you. If you don't go, they'll do something different than they're doing right now, which is intentionally sucking to get Victor Wembanyama. I mean, am I wrong?
Look, in the NBA, frankly, in professional sports, it's not just the NBA, although the NBA can be a little more naked about it. Hi, Sam Hinkie, we miss you. You've either got to sell championships or hope. That's it. You're either selling we're good and we can kind of go, we can compete for a title or soon will, or look, man, there's hope here. Look at these good young players. In this case, hey, man, Sengun is good. Sengun is just a lot of fun to watch. We've got Martin. We've got these nice young Jalen Green. We've got these nice young players. There's hope for the future. And by the way, we might land Wembanyama or we might land Scoot Henderson. And even if we miss on them, we got a boatload of money and some good young players, and we're going to be better in a couple of years. So I think that's just the nature of the business. And yeah, okay, Kenny, I get it. It's watching losing isn't always fun, especially if you come from that competitive mindset. But it's the business, man. That's just the way the business works at this point.
And again, I'll say it again. If I went to a restaurant and the server was 10 minutes late coming over after I got sat, and the appetizers were cold and took 20 minutes, and then the entrees didn't come for another 30, and I found a hair in it, I'm not going back to that restaurant. But fans, and I don't understand this. I don't understand the fan mentality of, I don't know what's entertaining about watching your team suck to the tune of winning 13 times in 57 games. I don't get it. I don't get the mentality of we're still going to watch this. There's so many entertainment options today. We know that. Just look at TV ratings dropping across the board because there's such a wide breadth of programming and options to watch and cutting the cord and blah, blah, blah. I don't understand why fans still go. I don't get that mentality. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to say I'm smarter than everybody else, but to me, as a consumer of a product, I don't know why fans are going.
It's the emotional attachment. And look, I personally, and I have not gone to games because I don't live in England, but I'm a Newcastle, I'm a Newcastle United fan. I suffered through some painful years. Just without getting into detail, I will put Mike Ashley up against any non-Sterling / sexual harassment owner of choice. For worst owner in professional sports any day. He was just awful. And I don't know, man, I couldn't give it up. I couldn't, for whatever reason, I couldn't give it up. And I don't live there. I wasn't born into it like some. I get it. So there is that part of the attachment, but I think you're spot on about, you want to change behavior? Don't show up. If you don't show up, behavior will change. This is still a business, and these are businessmen running these things. And if they're losing enough money, it will change.
Kurt Helin, our guest, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com, giving us some time on the show tonight. I heard a certain nationally syndicated host today that I used to work with at the Mouse say Russell Westbrook's going to get, is he going to get bought out? But that basically nobody wants him at this point, that he's basically done in the league. Is that what you're hearing?
He is not done in the league, but there is a very limited market for him. And I'm not sure that he's going to like what he sees right now at the deadline. The places he might want to land would require a sign and trade type of situation, because the teams looking at him now, the Bulls might be, what does he want out of things? There are no contenders lining up to add him to the rotation. The Magic desperately need point guard help. The Bulls have needed point guard help all season because, Lonzo Ball's never bounced back from the second knee surgery. So there's some spots he could jump, but there's plenty of speculation that he's looking at these options and going, meh, mid, as the kids might say, and jump and just think, you know what? I'm happy for the final third of this season to do my John Wall impression and collect checks, and I'll do a little bit, and I will deal with the rest of it later. That could happen, but I don't think he's done in the league. Like, he will this summer, he will land somewhere. He will get a contract. Maybe not the contract he wants, maybe not the role he wants, but he'll land somewhere. He's not done. He's actually, honestly, especially if he's willing to accept the 6-man role somewhere, not that bad. Like, he's not. There are worse options out there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've watched, because I get the Lakers stuff down my throat on all these national broadcasts. I've seen.
It's just starting, by the way.
Yes, I know. But I've seen, I've seen a lot of him this year, and I know he can't shoot the ball to save his life. But he still has value. He still plays hard. And I know that's the bare minimum you should expect from somebody who's making $1 zillion, but I still feel like he actually has some game left. I don't think he's ever going to be, Russell Westbrook of 5 or 6 years ago, but I still feel like he does have some game left. It's interesting to me. Let me ask you something. Same question on Ben Simmons. Where do you go with him being owed as much money as he is? I could sense Jacques Vaughn's frustration talking about it in the post-game presser last night, where he's just basically saying, I don't know what, he basically was up there saying, essentially, I don't know what to do with him at this point.
Yeah, he actually would probably have less value around the league than Russell Westbrook. That is where things are right now. Now, part of that is he's got, I looked up the number the other day, and I'm going to try to remember. I want to say he's owed $78 million guaranteed over the next 2 seasons. Which doesn't help the matters, but he's basically playing backup 5 right now. Like, his confidence has fallen so far. It's kind of just stunning, because for all the things we picked on him for back in the earlier Philadelphia days and the flaws in his game, he was an all-world defender who could get to the rim and then dished out and created some plays, and he wasn't. For all the things we picked on him for, he was like a plus. He was a net positive. He just wasn't doing it. There was obvious ways to improve his game, but the things have fallen off so far with him now that it's just stunning. It's just stunning to see where he's at right now. It's just hard to fathom. It's also just hard to fathom him bouncing back from this, isn't it? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he figures it out or gets back to what he was even. But I don't know how right now. But let's put it this way. It is truly the Russell Westbrook situation with the Lakers, where the Nets may want to trade him this summer. We wrote the story too. They were, hey, we're going to look around for trade options. Great. How many firsts are you attaching? Because you're going to have to get me to take him on.
Kurt Helin, NBCSports.com, pro basketball talk at NBCSports.com. If you're looking for him there, I only have about 30 seconds, but the Knicks are starting to look pretty good. Of course, getting hot right in time for the All-Star break, where they'll then cool off and come back a different team. But all of a sudden, my Knicks are looking pretty good.
Look, you're saying Cam Reddish was the anchor? That was just holding him back.
Josh Hart is a great addition, though. It really is.
Josh Hart, it's hard not to love Josh Hart. Just plays hard. Plays smart, does everything pretty well, could fit in on any team, and if you give him space like the Knicks need to give him, because they just don't have that at high level talent, he's awesome. Like, there are 29 other GMs who are jealous. Like, everybody loves him and wants him on the team.
Yeah, and tonight, 13 points in 24 minutes, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Knicks beat the Hawks. They're 33 and 27. Certainly could be a top 5 seed. Always appreciate it, Kurt. We'll do it again soon, my friend.
Take care, buddy.
Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com is his jam. Go and check him out. He's got a podcast, too. We're back with more on the Cash In on Sports Map Radio. All right. It's my boy. Good tune. Some good choices tonight on the music front by Austin Rodriguez. I just want to sit here and jam out to this for the rest of the show. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, boy. Getting set to put the wraps on this baby. All right, let's wrap up some odds and ends. Huge upset in college basketball tonight. And it does not have anything to do with what school? What school did you go to, Austin? Because every time Austin's on the show, we wind up talking about what was it? That's it. How's Sam Houston college basketball doing? That's not bad. Okay, that's not bad. How are they doing in their conference? Do they have a chance to go to the big dance or what? Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll see how they wind up doing. All right. That's our Sam Houston update for tonight. And I know everybody is better for having gotten it. Alabama, number 1 in the country, falls to number 10. Tennessee tonight, 68-59. And I'll tell you, the turmoil and tumult atop the college basketball top 25 rankings just continues. It's just nobody can hang on to the top spot for more than like 5 minutes. I mean, you blink and by midweek, the latest rankings have just been turned upside down. Happened yet again tonight. Amazing. It's just been that way all year. Number 11, Marquette, good win tonight over Xavier, 69-68. But it's weird looking around at like the rankings, like UK unranked. You know, some of the perennial powerhouses that you expect to be in the top 25. And they're just nowhere to be found. It'll be a weird college basketball tournament. Final Four in Houston this year, by the way, and I'll be there. Well, I'm supposed to be there. We'll see. But I am scheduled to be there. Tentatively, I guess you could say. So we'll have more information as we get closer to the Final Four. But hopefully I'll see you all there in Houston. Austin, I hope I see you. Because I want to see all the guys that help engineer and produce this show from Houston. Since I'm here in California, I'll see you, John Belmer, our buddy who doesn't work on the show anymore, but still is in Houston, working with Gao Media, Brian McDonald, Justin Barbosa, all you guys. We'll go out and have a nice dinner on Craig Larson. See, that sounds good. I'll even break my diet for that. How's that? News for Major League Baseball, not related to anything on the field, but if you watch Major League Baseball and you are somewhere within the sound of my voice, there is a very good chance that this news will impact you. So you're going to want to pay attention. So a lot of you may know that Bally Sports Network used to be Fox Sports. Bally's bought the rights. Sinclair bought the 19 regional sports networks that Fox Sports owned. They had to get rid of them. So Diamond Sports Group, which is a subsidiary of Sinclair Media, bought these Bally's 19 regional sports networks. Well, they're looking at doom right now because they're talking about an impending bankruptcy of that group that owns the 19 regional sports networks. Major League Baseball has stepped up, though, because if they go under, where are you going to be able to watch your games for your favorite teams? There are 14 teams that pull in substantive revenue through regional sports contracts with Diamond Sports Group and could be severely impacted by this. But what Major League Baseball is saying is that, and Rob Manfred made this clear on Wednesday, Major League Baseball will pick up streaming if the worst case scenario occurs and Bally Sports basically goes bye-bye. Now, there's talk of them trying to sell it. They're going to try and maybe restructure it through bankruptcy court. And honestly, no matter what you think, you got to hope they figure out a way to get this thing fixed, because there are a lot of sports teams that put their games on Bally's. And, I mean, if that thing goes under and they've got nobody to pick up the pieces and try and fix it, it is a huge nightmare. And today they missed out on a February $140 million interest-only payment. So now they enter into a 30-day grace period that'll probably end up leading them into bankruptcy. So keep an eye on that story. If you are in a listening area that has Bally Sports Net, keep an eye on that story, because it is one worth watching. Rory McIlroy, while a lot of the news on the PGA Tour this week is about Tiger Woods, and rightly so, Rory McIlroy has come out and said something interesting as they go through this battle with Live Golf. And by the way, if you are a fan of this whole Live Golf PGA Tour saga, you have got to check out Full Swing on Netflix. I watched a trailer for it today and got some more skinny on, what this thing is about. It looks just out of this world good. It comes from the same people who are doing F1's highly popular Drive to Survive, and tennis has one called Break Point. And it's this documentary that takes you through the PGA Tour, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. All the big names of golf are in it, and a lot of conversation about the Live Golf stuff and, the day-to-day lives of stars, the in-round drama of golf's biggest events, and it takes you through the 2022 season like really nothing else has ever taken you inside the ropes behind golf, because all we've ever gotten is the sport at a distance and this homogenized version of it that CBS, NBC, ESPN, Golf Channel want to give, because they don't want to let you in. Everybody wants to keep up this facade of the gentleman's game of golf, and 7-footer for par on number 4. It's going to be left edge. He strikes the putt. It's rolling towards the hole, and it's in. That's not actually what goes on. There's the side action, there's the conversations, there's the hidden rivalries. None of this stuff, and I think the PGA Tour is foolish not to play these things up. And Rory McIlroy made an interesting statement today, and I think he is spot on with it. In a sport that is basically geared towards individuals, despite the fact that Live Golf is trying to make it a team sport, and yeah, we have the Ryder Cup every 4 years, the President's Cup every 2. Rory McIlroy says he believes the PGA Tour should take its cues from the NBA as a model for growth, saying the tour should build itself around its stars like the NBA does. Quote, if you look at the NBA's trajectory over the last 20 years, they've built that league around their best players and their stars, not around the 12th guy on the team. But because they've built that league up around the stars, the 12th guy on the team does way better than he used to. So that's sort of the way I've been trying to tell it. Good for Rory. I love this new role that he has taken as sort of the de facto player commissioner of the tour. I think it's fantastic that he's out there right now trying to do everything he can in light of Live Golf to push the PGA Tour, to push the boundaries a bit, to change its structure. Not fundamentally. The game of golf has to be the same. 72 holes, 4 rounds. You get to eat what you kill. You if you play well, you're going to get paid. If you don't, all right, fine. You get a small appearance fee for your travel, and that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. But you eat what you kill, and you build the game around your stars. And I think this Full Swing, if people find it And if people, hear about it, and I think it's great that they put out an ad during the Super Bowl, I think they're going to be much more attracted to golf and the personalities. But the PGA Tour and the Golf Channel and NBC and CBS, they've got to play along with this too. And they got to cover these guys the same way. They tell me I'm out of time. We'll be back on Thursday with the Cash In on Sports Map Radio. I'm Jason Page. Bye! Send me all 3 hours, please. Thank you. Nice job tonight. This is the only day I have you this week. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Have a good night. Be well. And that's all. That was a fun show tonight. I enjoyed that. That's it for us on the video stream, too. I might take next week off. I haven't decided if I'm going to take the whole week off or I'm just going to take a few days off. I haven't decided yet. What do you think? Should I take the whole week off? You can chime in now. We're not on the air. Now you can make all the noise you want because throughout the whole show, all you do is make noise.
No, I was walking the dog.
All you do is make noise. You and the dog. Oh, I got the dog dry heaving in the background. He's not even there anymore. I don't know where he went. Got the dog dry heaving, clanging plates. I don't know what sound you made during the last segment of the show. What was that? Did you burp? Did you belch? I don't know what that was. Anyway, that's going to do it for us tonight. It's about as close to a good show, as close to a perfect show as I can get for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Recap of Tiger and Rory and Justin Thomas's rounds at the Genesis. Hopefully we'll get a guest that actually can talk about golf more eloquently than I can. And a whole bunch of other stuff. Got to get Jerry Bunkowski on this week, too. Talk some NASCAR. Daytona 500 is this week. The granddaddy of them all. Or no, that's the Indy 500, isn't it? But the Daytona 500 is obviously auto racing's biggest race. Looking forward to that. Anyway, have a great night. I'll see you all back here tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. I'm Jason Page.